Welcome to my channel. This video is a powder foundation tutorial. This is part 2 of my 3-part series of foundation tutorials. So the first part will be linked down below in the description box. So powder foundations can be lifesavers for people like me who have oily skin and who live in humid climates. So powder foundations are very helpful when you are going out and you're going to be dancing, or you're going out somewhere which is in the open and there is no air conditioning, then that's in the summers and you live in a humid country. So powder foundations at that point come in handy, because liquid foundations, 2 hours or 3 hours into application, tend to feel like they're melting your face away. You feel like your smile lines are really showing up because you've been smiling so much, and there are so many lights and everything else, all those factors. So if you're someone who has oily skin and who has to go out in the summer, and you're gonna get sweaty, a powder foundation will really help you. So what is the difference really between a powder foundation and a compact? A compact is something that you would use during the day, later on after a couple of hours of applying your original base makeup, in order to blot your T-zone, in order to mattify your face. It's not something that you would use on your bare face and then apply makeup, because otherwise you won't get coverage. You can do that. There's nothing that you can't do, and there are no rules, but you can do that. It completely depends upon your choice, where you're going and what the purpose is. So what I'm trying to say here essentially is that compacts do not give you that amount of coverage like a foundation does, whether powder or cream or liquid. And a compact is something like this. This is the L'Oreal Matte Magique Matte Transforming Powder Compact. It has SPF of 34. This one is a bit too powdery, as in it's very drying. This is what it comes off as, and as I try to blend it, it feels very chalky on my skin, right? So this is something that will mattify your face, but it does not have a lot of coverage, which means if I put it on top of a scar, the scar will still be visible. Now, what is a powder foundation? A powder foundation is something like this one. This is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Powder Foundation, and this is what it looks like. This one is more of a pink toned powder foundation, and once I swatch it like this, and if I just wiggle it between my fingers like that, it has a very slight velvety finish, and that's because it's really thick in texture. It's supposed to provide you with a lot of coverage. So that is the difference between powder foundations and compacts. Powder foundations are some things which you will be able to do your entire base makeup with and then put on the rest of your makeup, while a compact is for touch-ups and for very sheer coverage. Most powder foundation, like especially this one, will give you full coverage if you are able to build it. Otherwise it gives generally it will give you a medium coverage if you apply just say a single layer. You can build it to full coverage though. There's another powder foundation which is my absolute favorite, and it's the big daddy of all powder foundations available in India, especially in that particular price range. I'm talking about the MAC Studio Fix powder foundation, and this is what it looks like. And a lot of people mistake this for a compact. They call it a compact, but this is actually a foundation. So I don't buy a lot of MAC products, because honestly I feel that most MAC products are overpriced, overhyped, very expensive. Some of their products are really degrading in quality these days. Like a couple of eyeshadows I swatched, they were not as good as they used to be. The brushes are getting really cheap to feel. I'm really sorry I'm using such terms, but that's what it is, and they're increasing their prices at the same time. Every year there's a price hike. This time I think there was a 15% price hike. So I do have certain issues with MAC, but their foundations are actually worth every single penny. I used my Studio Fix liquid foundation in the liquid foundation tutorial, and today I've used the powder foundation in this tutorial. Now, the Studio Fix is wonderful. I am almost running out of it. It is a wonderful powder foundation which will give you plenty of coverage. You can simply, if you have some light scarring, you can just take one stroke of a brush and you are good to go. So I absolutely love the Studio Fix when it comes to powder foundations, and I wear it to weddings mostly. you know, when I'm going to attend a wedding and it's going to be a long night and there's going to be celebration and dancing and, you know, going in and out of air conditioning, or maybe there's no air conditioning at all, this one is so good. No matter how much you smile, you're not going to be able to see the smile lines, your face is not going to melt, and you can always touch up your face with this as well. So that's a lot of talking. I think we should get started with the tutorial. So if you like this video, please give this video a thumbs up. You know what to do. Subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video. Starting with the primer, I'm using my MAC Prep and Prime primer, and using my fingers to dot it all over my face. I'm just going to blend it out, and what I like to do after blending out primer is that I like to pat it down on my face so that my pores are filled up and I have a nice smooth base. In order to hide my dark circles, today I'm using the FS29 shade from the Supra Color palette by Kryolan, and this is actually a foundation but can be used as a concealer as well because it's highly pigmented, and at the same time it's very light in texture. So now that I'm going to be putting powder on top of my face, all over my face, I need something underneath which does not crease. Now because of its light texture, this product is going to be absolutely one with my skin and it will not crease when I put powder on top of it. So I'm also using this to blend out some scarring that I have. I'm using my ring finger because the heat from my finger will help this product blend out very well on my face, and there will be no scope of creasing or fine lines appearing. So now that my concealing is done, I am ready to put on some powder foundation. So as I said, the MAC Studio Fix is the big daddy of all powder foundations available to us. I'm in the shade NC35, and I'm simply going to use a buffing brush from Real Techniques. I'm going to swirl the brush in my foundation and apply it all over my face. I will be starting with downward motions and then go all over my face with this foundation. Just notice the amount of coverage this is giving me with very light strokes. I am just pushing the foundation in my skin and also using circular motions, and you can see clearly the difference between the two sides. One side is really nice and covered up, the other side, on the other side the acne marks are still visible. So I am going to cover up my entire face now. And you don't even need to use a lot of foundation because a little bit of foundation goes a long way. Always treat your neck as a part of your face. Never ever forget to apply foundation on your neck as well. In order to reach the sides of your nose or underneath your eyes, you can also use a more precise brush like a foundation brush or even an eyeshadow brush. I am used to using this buffing brush, so I am good with it. So now underneath my eyes where I applied the concealer, I am very lightly padding a little bit of the powder foundation in order to mattify everything and make sure that my entire skin tone is nice and even. I'm going to use the shade Somber from the Shade and Light palette by Kat Von D, and I'm using an angular brush to sculpt out my face. Now contouring with powder products on top of powder foundation is very easy, and if you don't have a contouring palette or a contouring kit, then you can always use a foundation or a compact which is 2 to 3 shades darker than your skin tone. So before I bought myself this palette, I used to contour using this powder compact by Lotus. I had got their darkest shade. Now I don't really remember the shade number or the shade name, and it's been a very long time, but there are really dark foundations and really dark compacts available, so choose anything which is darker than your skin tone, at least which is 2 to 3 shades darker than your skin tone, and you're good to go with contouring. I am now sculpting out my cheekbones, the hollows of my cheeks, and then I'm going to move on to my forehead, my jawline, and I'm also going to slightly contour my nose. To highlight, I'm using this face and body shimmer powder from Kryolan. Now it's a bit chalky, but it does leave a nice highlight onto the face. So I'm using my fan brush and I'm simply highlighting the high points of my cheekbones. I'm going to highlight my forehead and my cupid's bow. Always try to use cream products on top of cream products and powder products on top of powder products. If you must use something underneath your powder foundation, then make sure that it is very lightly textured, otherwise you will experience creasing. So now I'm just going to add some color to my face. I'm using the Maybelline Cheeky Glow blush. I don't remember the shade name. After this, I finished the rest of my makeup, filled in my brows, added some lipstick, and this is the finished look. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Let it now.